All updates AITA for cutting contact with my childhood best friend because she demanded that I break up with my fiancé. I, 21F, cut contact with one of my closest childhood friends, Mary, 21F, a few weeks ago. While I feel relieved she's out of my life, most of my family and mutual friends think I overreacted, and now I'm starting to second-guess my decision. Mary and I practically grew up as sisters. We were neighbors, and our parents started arranging playdates for us before we could even walk. From kindergarten to secondary school, we did everything together. If I wasn't at her house, she was at mine. I trusted her completely and never thought of her as anything other than my best friend. Things changed when Mary moved away for university. At first, I missed her, but over time, I noticed how much easier my life felt without her constant presence. I wasn't being criticized, guilt-tripped, or forced to justify my choices anymore. It became clear how much control she'd had over me. Mary had a way of dominating every aspect of my life. She'd dismiss my hobbies and pressure me to quit them, and if she didn't like one of my friends, I'd have to cut ties. You could call me a pushover, but when you grow up with someone like that, it's hard to see the manipulation for what it is. Things really came to a head when I met my now fiancé, Dave, 27 meters. He's amazing, kind, supportive, and everything I've ever wanted in a partner. We clicked instantly, and he's honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me. But, of course, Mary didn't approve. She immediately tried to plant seeds of doubt, saying he was too old, he'd cheat, or he was only using me. Thankfully, for once, I didn't listen to her, and I'm so glad I didn't. In December, Dave surprised me with a dream vacation, and during the trip, he proposed. Everything about it was perfect, he planned every little detail, and it was more magical than I could have ever imagined. I was over the moon and couldn't wait to share the news with everyone. Naturally, I told Mary, expecting at least some excitement, but instead, she downplayed the entire thing. She nitpicked the proposal, saying how she would have done it differently and what could have been better. It stung, but I brushed it off and reminded her that it was my proposal, not hers. A few weeks later, we met in person for the first time in months. That's when things completely fell apart. Out of nowhere, Mary told me I should break up with Dave. When I asked why, her reasoning had nothing to do with me. Instead, she compared him to her boyfriend, Julian, 22 meters, saying things like, Dave makes more money than Julian and Dave can give you everything, while I have to work for what I want. It was clear she wasn't concerned about me, she was just jealous. She couldn't handle the fact that, for once, my life seemed better than hers. That was the breaking point for me. I told her to leave my house, and afterward, I sent her a long message explaining how hurt and disappointed I was. I told her that her behavior was unacceptable and that I didn't want her to contact me again. Since then, it feels like she's told everyone in our social circle. Mutual friends and even some family members have reached out, saying I was too harsh and should have handled things differently. They said, that's just how Mary is, you've known her your whole life. She's always been in the spotlight and gotten what she wanted. Some even accused me of breaking her heart and told me it was wrong to choose my fiancé over a lifelong friend. Even my mom said she expected better of me, and that's what's making me question my decision. Did I overreact? Mary has been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember. Sure, she has her flaws, but we've also shared countless good times and memories. Am I throwing away years of friendship over this? Should I try to fix things, or was cutting her off the right choice? Quick sum up because the update is quite long. I visited my parents today and found out that Mary told them that Dave was cheating on me. My dad ended up believing me, but my mom is still on the fence and unsure of who to believe. We visited my parents around noon today, talked about everything, and tried to understand what had happened exactly. Turns out, Mary really was telling a made-up story. Apparently she told people that Dave was cheating on me with a coworker of his, which is why she told me to break up with him. She said that this affair had been going on for at least 4 months and that she knows about it because she'd seen them together at a cafe in a different city a few months ago according to her story. I got incredibly mad, kicked her out, and haven't spoken to her since. For one, her telling me to break up with my fiancé, as well as me kicking her out and cutting contact. However, the whole story about Dave cheating on me is something I've heard about for the first time today, plus it's completely made up. Just to remind you, she told me to break up with him because Dave's a better boyfriend than Julian, her boyfriend. BTW, I also feel so sorry for him. I can't imagine how much she must push him around. My mom said that she didn't believe Dave was cheating on me, but was disappointed in me for how I handled the situation, especially since I couldn't have known if Mary wasn't telling the truth. She thought that cutting off my best friend for being concerned about me was too harsh and that we should have talked it out. I've also assumed that she's scared to lose longtime friends when I cut contact with Mary, which also turned out to be true. Mary told her mother what happened, who just so happened to be best friends with my mom, and according to my dad, Mary's mother is mad at me for treating her daughter badly and accused my mom of not raising me right. So there's that as well. After my mom explained what Mary had told her, I went on to tell her what really went down. The jealousy, the manipulation, the lies, all of it. She didn't believe me at first and said that I was blowing things out of proportion, that Mary had good intentions but simply didn't know how to communicate them well. I showed her some text messages between Mary and me, told her about past incidents, and my fiancé tried to back me up as best as he could since my mom wasn't listening at all and kept defending Mary. To say that I dug deep and told my parents about all sorts of things is an understatement, so yeah, I didn't leave out any details. My dad believed me from the get-go, but my mom kept going back to how great of a person Mary is and how she just wants the best for me. She also kept saying how I've never had an issue with Mary in the past and that I'm now creating unnecessary drama because of a misunderstanding. At some point my dad simply told her to shut up and to stop making excuses for Mary, so at least I have one parent on my side. My dad's always been a very non-confrontational person and never really stood his ground, especially when it came to my mom, but I found out that he thought that Mary didn't have a good influence on me growing up. He apparently also told my mom that he wanted to limit the contact between Mary and me when we were younger, but my mom didn't see his point and let our friendship continue. So basically, this whole issue could have been avoided if my mom would have put her friendship with Mary's mother aside for her own family. Great. In the end, my mom said that she'd speak to Mary and ask her if what I've said is true, which honestly pissed me off. After everything I've told her, she still wants to crawl to Mary because apparently what her actual daughter says isn't good enough. She tried to justify it since Mary is her daughter too, and it's unfair to just hear out my side of the story after she said all of that. We started a screaming match. I know, not healthy, but it honestly felt so damn good to just let it all out. To say that I cried heavily out of frustration after talking to my mom is an understatement, and I'm so glad that my fiancé was with me because I sure as hell wouldn't have been able to drive home safely. I got ice cream and we watched my favorite show when we arrived back home, which made things better, lol. I've not told my mom that I'm considering not inviting her to my wedding. We're not planning to get married until next year anyway, so there's still enough time for her to make up her mind about who she'd rather believe. As for mutual friends who took Mary's side, I've decided not to respond to them. I'm not sure if Mary told them the same story that she told my parents, but I honestly don't care. I don't want to see Mary ever again, and mutual friends would make that a whole lot harder than it needs to be. Besides, they're not my only friends or close friends of mine. Dave's also okay with me not running after them to clear his name. If this whole situation should leave this friend group and turn public, I'm going to contact them, but right now, we don't see a point in dealing with Mary's minions. Right now I'm just hoping that Mary messes up her story somehow and that my mom is going to see her for who she really is. While she's been acting absolutely disgusting towards me and basically chooses Mary over me in this situation, I think that I can look past this. It's my mom after all. Cutting off friends is one thing, but cutting off close family? That's a whole different story, and I'll try to mend things the best I can. If she's going to stay loyal to Mary, I don't know what I'm going to do, but that's not something I have to think about right now. I just want to say this in advance, I don't know if my dad was telling the full truth. I do believe him, but he might have exaggerated or left things out. It's entirely possible that he lied to a certain extent. I personally don't think that, but then again, most of the things he told me yesterday, I've heard about for the first time, and they make him seem incredibly innocent. Maybe he was lying? I don't know. This whole situation just makes me question who I can trust in general. So, we had dinner with my dad last night and it went pretty well overall. We mainly talked about my mom and Mary. Apparently my mom had always been concerned about what others thought about her, but when she met Mary's mother, it reached a whole new level. Mary's mother often criticized my mom for all sorts of things, her parenting style, her clothes, her house, you name it. Whenever it was something that my mom could change, she changed it immediately to appease Mary's mother. That's also why I was put into dance classes when I was younger, because Mary's mother signed Mary up for dance classes. So, as most comments suggested, she's being pushed around by Mary's mom. Is she a narcissist? I don't know, I'm not a psychologist. One thing to know about Mary's family is that they do a damn good job at appearing perfect. Happy family, nice jobs, nice house, etc. I guess my mom bought their persona and tried to copy it. Also, my mom was apparently talking shit about me to my dad, comparing me to Mary in basically every way, and she even said multiple times that she wished Mary was her real daughter. She also believes that I took away her chance to live her dream life. Fun fact, but according to my dad, my mom's apparently huge on family. She always wanted to have at least 4 children. Ironic, I know. She had a pretty traumatic birth experience with me, and doctors told her that she shouldn't try for children again. Yeah, apparently she's blaming me for that. She then hoped that she'd get to live her dream through me, basically that I have a lot of children. Bit of me right here, but I've mentioned it in the comments a few times already, so whatever. I can't get pregnant, like at all, which means she, luckily, won't get any grandchildren from me. I guess she sticks so close to Mary and Mary's mother because she hopes to be a grandma to Mary's potential. I also feel the need to clarify that I didn't know any of that. My mom never said anything negative about me to my face. Sure, there were some comparisons here and there, but nothing major or something that had an impact on me. She's also never directly blamed me for her inability to have any more children, and never said anything bad about me not being able to conceive. She's always been pretty alright to me. She most definitely wasn't the best mom ever, but she wasn't horrible either. My dad also admitted that he'd considered divorcing her a few times, but never went through with it because he was scared that my mom would get primary custody. He's currently considering it again, so let's see how that goes. As for why he never stood up to my mom, he genuinely didn't have a reason for it. He knew that my mom's never said anything like the things above to my face, so he didn't think that he should tell me. He didn't engage in these type of conversations with my mom and kept telling her to stop every time, which caused a lot of fighting between them. I knew that their marriage was messed up, but I always thought this had different reasons. Also, my mom reached out to my mill and complained about Dave, how he changed me and stuff. My mill simply asked her why she's discussing this with her since Dave and I are adults. There's no need to contact her for it. My mom also told her that Mary said that Dave is cheating on me. She then simply told my mom sounds like Mary's projecting and hung up. I'm honestly so pissed that my mom tried to involve her in this situation, and I can't help but wonder if she tried to create conflict between my mill and my fiancé. Maybe she genuinely believes Mary and wanted to warn my mill, but I guess that would be wishful thinking. For some background, my mill was a single mom because her ex-boyfriend, Dave's father, cheated on her shortly after giving birth. As you might be able to imagine, she hates cheaters with a burning passion, and my mom obviously knew that. So yeah, I guess my mom talked to Mary, who doubled down, and my mom decided to believe her. I was expecting that this would happen, but honestly, I'm really disappointed. I'm not even sad, angry, or anything, just absolutely disappointed, and confused. I'm currently considering sending her one last text before cutting her out for now, but I don't know if I should give her the pleasure of receiving an explanation. I'm still on the fence about cutting ties with her in general, mainly for my dad's sake. Their marriage is rocky already, and although he's considering divorcing her, I'm not sure if he'll actually go through with it. Keeping in contact with one parent while not talking to the other one must put a whole lot of stress on the parent you're still in touch with, and I quite honestly don't want to worsen my dad's home life any further. It's so crazy how I've lost so many people, who I considered important to me, in such a short amount of time. This whole situation also made me question other people, like my dad, a whole lot. There were so many people in my life throughout all those years, and nobody said anything? Why didn't my grandparents step in? Or my aunt? Or family friends? I can't imagine that they didn't know about any of it, but then again, I didn't either. I also have no idea why I never noticed that my mom held some sort of resentment towards me. Shouldn't I was noticed? I mean, I've been living with her under one roof for 18 years, yet I never noticed/imagined that she actually doesn't like me. Also yes, Reddit became my new diary. This is just going to be a small update since not much happened, but I still want to share this because I think it's quite ironic. It's also pretty late at night and I'm staying at a hotel right now, so sorry if some stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I had a gig tonight and Mary's ex-boyfriend, Julian, showed up after the show. Yes, ex-boyfriend. He came up to me and told me that he broke up with her this morning. He then got free drinks for the rest of the night and we had an amazing time at the after party, lol. I've already mentioned this in the comments, but I told mutual friends, who asked, not those who attacked me, what really went down between Mary and me. I guess they've told other mutual friends and it got around to Julian. He asked her if my story is true and Mary apparently got really defensive. After some back and forth, she called him an option that she's keeping around until Dave's single or she finds someone better. He dumped her right there and then. Mary must have spiraled after that because she texted me over a new Instagram account and said that I've ruined her life. I don't believe in karma, but this honestly made my day. Also, I've called my grandparents and they didn't know how my mom really felt about me, which honestly puts my mind at ease a bit. At least I wasn't the only one being oblivious. I guess she did a really good job at hiding her true sentiments. For my parents, I've decided to go LC with my mom and keep in touch with my dad. He's not going to divorce her anytime soon for several reasons. I'm also still on the fence on whether to cut ties with my mom completely or not. While many people in the comments mentioned that they're not in contact with their families anymore, I don't feel ready for that yet. I want to have a conversation with my mom first, just so that I can hear what I've been told by my dad, straight from her, but right now, I don't want to have that conversation. So yeah, I'm basically keeping her around for now.